Welcome to the Best of the Project, the podcast that looks at projects throughout pop culture and history.
Here's a collection of clips that we recorded throughout 2021. So they get into the building using the watch that they've stolen.
That's right, okay.
So get in there,
so
and then they go down the corridor and they see him in the room.
And there's a biometric fingerprint scan, hand scan.
And like bulletproof glass they can't get through.
So they're like, we need to get him out of there instead. And it's like, well, yeah, that was kind of the plan.
Yeah, they're like, anyway. Instead of us getting in there, we need to get him out. And I was like, well, obviously, you're not just gonna go in there and sit in there with him. But like,
let's all go in and just die together.
Yeah.
But yeah, they go underneath because they find the building plan on like the watch or something. Or
yeah.
Whatever, or the AI.
And they go in like this big kind of room underneath. And
there's
like, these are load-bearing poles.
Yeah, and then they've just got like this plasma cutter thing. It's like an opposite of a welder. I guess it's a plasma cutter.
Yeah.
And they're cutting it.
Like, let's cut it.
And it just breaks like it stops halfway through and they're like, oh
no, I hope that's enough. And then Bobby and No Regrets turn up. And I was like, oh, this could be interesting. And then they just like
stop fighting. There's a part of a 60 Minutes segment that aired in 1973, which shows some of these things. So it's kind of pre it being classified.
Right.
And you can see parts with Uri Geller. And there's some stuff which is very much like a Stranger Things type thing with sensory deprivation. So this is done by different people, but it's done at the same time in this Brooklyn lab. And they've got like the half ping pong balls like taped over their eyes. They're listening to like waves and they're trying to like communicate with somebody in the other room who's like hung in something called a witch's cradle and he's being like spanned around.
Like, why do they come up with these things?
And he's listening to like waves and she's listening to, I don't know, I've got it.
Maybe it'll work better.
Oh, static. He's got static and she's got waves. And it's like,
how do they decide on these things?
But then other people, some of the people who are, actually had some sort of results later on, they just like sit in a lab and like concentrate. So it's like, I guess they're just trying everything.
It'd be funny if in like decades time, they're like, oh, they were so close. What they actually needed was static on one guy and waves on the other guy.
It's like, and you needed ping pong balls on the wave, on the static guy. Yeah. And you needed the mask on the other guy.
The guy tried to communicate, needs to be spinning on a chair.
The other person needs to be upside down.
Yeah.
In the witch's cradle.
So close.
Oh yeah, there's also an IBM scientist who in his spare time is attempting to communicate with a plant. And he's remote viewing into the plant and he's like, I'm in the stem, I'm moving up to the leaves. It's like, you're not communicating, you're just imagining being in a plant. It's so silly.
It's just some weird fetish he's got.
Yeah. He's hiding very badly, and I think he's like breathing really loudly, or he's talking to the camera. And Charlie keeps going, "I can hear you," but like he can't hear where he is. Apparently,
it literally gets so close. It's like the bit in Fellowship of the Ring, where they're hiding under the branch, the roots of the tree.
Yeah.
It's like he's literally that close. And that goes on for quite a while.
And this has got, when he confronts him, I think it's when he confronts him or when he's hunting him, it's got my favourite line in the whole thing. He goes, "You think you can hide from me? I'm a professional, Luke." It's like, you're a professional what? Child hunter? It's like, what does that mean? You're a TV guy.
Yeah.
So they've been sent through a wormhole into the future.
A wormhole that's just gone like, what, 200 miles south?
Yeah, and like 40 years. There's also other variations of the story where Edward, the other brother, claims that before he got to 1983, him and his brother went to 2137 and spent 6 weeks there. And then, as well as that, Edward Cameron also apparently travelled to 2749 and lived there for 2 years, where he became a tour guide, which I think is a weird job for someone who's just turned up in that time.
Yeah.
And he remembers floating cities built with anti-gravity technology and society run by computers.
The question is, why would you make a city anti-gravity?
Well, I don't know, something's happened on the floor. Also, if he turned up in that place, he'd probably be on the floor, wouldn't he? So then he'd have to get up to the...
Oh!
he's a tour guide for like the ants on the floor. So then the Edwards which we may meet a little bit later.
He's
says
coming. He's coming.
Says he's coming on
He's
to
going
the...
to appear in the corner of the room like, guys, I've just been to 2852. I was a janitor.
So,
He could have done something so much more interesting than making it up.
He's a tour guide.
Oh, so what were you? He could have been like, I was
The president.
Yeah.
Well, he did say that he spoke to the machines that were in charge, and they had this name that was very dull that I didn't write down. It was like the Grand Inquisition or something. And he spoke to them. I don't know why he would have. Like, this random guy has got to talk to the people in charge. I suppose because he's a time traveler. I don't know.
Yeah.
But either way, whether that bit's true or not, they ended up in 1983, and they were told by the military that they had to go back to 1943 and destroy the equipment on the USS Eldridge to stop the experiments, basically.
Right.
So apparently they did that, and they did sabotage.
But they came back like a few years older than...
Came back a few years older, yeah. And in 1943...
He walked on the ship and they went, whoa, what's that crazy hairstyle? 2179, this is all the rage.
It's got like a loopy beard going on. Piercings, tattoos.
Joe, I literally just coincidentally watched a video this morning, a bit of a tangent, about how undiscovered the seas are.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And if it's like, if all the land above the sea were like averaged out and like went down into like the depths, the whole world would be covered in the sea and it'd be like 2,000 meters deep. Like there's that much sea.
I don't quite understand what you're saying there, but
so like if all the ground was just flattened at an average around the world, it'd be 2,000 meters underwater.
Oh, because there's so much underwater stuff. Yeah, that makes sense.
And like the lowest point of the sea is like 3 times higher than Mount Everest.
It's like all these things. There's so many films and stuff about it. Even like, God, I can't think of anything. Like The Abyss. Did you watch that one Underwater with Kristen Stewart?
No, I didn't.
It's actually really good.
All right.
But it's all like what's under the sea. Even like The Meg with Jason Statham.
Yeah.
It's like a shark came from under the sea.
It's like, I think we know more about like our solar system than we do.
Yeah. Well, we know
ocean.
the solar system is empty.
Yeah.
Mostly empty space. We don't know the same for, there's things like the Marinara
Trench.
I started thinking, what's the sauce? Marinara sauce? No, it's different things. They're not
Mariana
Trench.
Marinara Trench. Wow, some people would love a Marinara Trench.
Get your meatballs and just dip it straight in there.
Yeah, well, at least you didn't say marijuana trench. The Mariana Trench.
But yeah, the Mariana Trench. And then despite the fact that Mike's car is there...
Right, yes. Why is his car there? Like, they got arrested from his house.
It's not even that. It's the fact that Vinny goes, I've always wanted to do this, and steals a police car.
Yeah, so, like, 2 things. Like, firstly, why is his car there? Like Mike didn't drive to the police station. He was arrested, right? So... Unless
the detective was like, let's go in your car... I'll chaperone you to the police station.
Are you saying like they arrest him? Is like, right, Mike, you take your car. We'll meet you there.
Don't you go off anywhere.
And then
we'll be following you.
And also, Vinny steals the police car. A police car is just like left unlocked outside the police station.
And as it turns out, has a shotgun.
Because nothing could ever go wrong from leaving a police car unlocked outside a police station.
It is 1985. It's not.
It just seems like mad. When because we don't see Mike driving there. When they came out of the police station, I saw his car there. I literally went, "Are you fucking shitting me?"
Duncan used his powers and the Montauk chair to pull a horrifying creature from the depths of his subconscious.
Now it's got interesting.
Now it's Stranger Things.
I know exactly it's going to be James Corden.
The most horrifying
creature. That video of James Corden dancing.
Or James Corden from Cats.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And they've all sat there and he's zooming in on his anus. He's singing at him.
Yeah, I can't think of anything much more horrifying, to be honest.
So it was supposed to be a monster that was so scary that it would scare sense into the people who ran the facility and think like they've gone too far, science has gone too far. Which, if anyone knows anything about anything like this, realistically, they're probably going to go, right, how can we weaponize this? They're probably not going to say this is enough. They'll be like, oh, this is a new avenue that we can start pursuing.
Imagine weaponized James Corden. He comes down.
Shoot him on a catapult.
I feel like we kind of did that as British people weaponized him and sent him to bring down American culture.
Unfortunately, he just got too comfortable and now he's just running things over there.
They started out, there was like a village in Afghanistan. They just had one James Corden going around. And that was how we thought we'd subside their nation and get them to democracy.
It all started with that one episode of Hollyoaks when he first appeared.
It's like a nuclear yield thing. How many James Cordens do we need to destabilize this nation?
Please, no more. Please.
One's enough.
Please, I don't want to watch a League of Their Own anymore, they're saying.
No more carpool karaoke, please. So,
it gets to 20 years' time, the leader of the Taliban is in the car like, no, I'll give up Afghanistan. I don't want to sing. I want to know where love is anymore.
Let's see if the description matches up with what you imagine as James Corden. So the monster is described
He's
as
5'9", blonde,
a little chubby.
It's been described as large and hairy.
Yeah, we'll take those boxes.
With some reports of it being as tall as 30 feet, which for an underground facility seems just too tall, to be honest.
He's on his knees.
Maybe it's 3 feet, which matches more up with James Corden.
That's Peter Crouch.
In some interviews, they, for some reason, refer to it as Junior. So I don't know.
Well, little known fact that James Corden's father was also called James Corden.
Oh no.
No.
But at this point, I've also written that they're pretty weak monsters because,
she's not got any more strength.
They seem to be able to beat them.
Well, the Skinwalker, I think, is probably strong because they don't really have a proper grapple. Because every time it seems to just with her, they can. I mean, she can do a big push away, almost like a telekinetic push. But when they're grappling, her actual strength seems to be the strength of a normal
And then at
person.
that point, Jamal stakes Sheila.
Yeah, and she says, "What does she say? Taste this, bitch!" And stabs her from the side.
And then he also says, "So much for the black guy going out first."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh my god, Jamal, you're great."
Which, weirdly enough, we've seen him being. He's been back for a bit at that point. It's a weird time for him to mention.
No, I think it's because Shayla's now dead.
Oh, so someone
of the
else
7 of them in the house.
Yeah, it's a bit she goes all like a weird husk, like a wet husk. It's kind of gross.
The app's description there. I was just gonna say kind of shriveled, like a raisin,
like a wet raisin, like a wet bloodied raisin.
Almost every Christopher Nolan film will have a 5-minute scene of techno babble exposition.
Yeah,
but it's usually you can
kind of vaguely.
You
follow
think Inception when Leonardo DiCaprio's explaining the idea.
Yeah.
When I can't
with
remember
Ariadne, is she called?
Yeah, Ariadne.
Yeah. I haven't seen it for years.
When they it's
another Greek. That's another Greek mythology reference, isn't it? Yeah.
But that's all kind of techno babble, but you kind of go along with it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the only one that I think Tenet was
I
the
thought
one
you were going to say Tenet.
It didn't lose me completely, but I saw it once in the cinema and I don't even know. You know what it was? We've discussed this before, and there's a great video on YouTube where a guy takes the piss out of it. The scene with Michael Caine was the scene that lost me the most because it's not even techno babble. It's and then we went to this guy, and then it turned out that he was Russian, and then we went to this guy, and he wasn't even involved at all. And it turns out you got to go get this painting. And I was just, Americans, you don't have a suit. And it turned out they were living next to a man who, for whatever reason, was making bombs in his house. And there's a BBC article which they show on the screen, and I read it, and it's very unclear about why he was making bombs. They say it was not terror related, and I imagine that means he was white.
Yeah.
But effectively, his car ended up blowing up, and he died. So
Jesus.
This story is set about 3 days before the first version of Project Zomboid was due to be released. And the team had been up for about 48 hours. They were finishing everything off. as much they could.
Wow.
They went to bed and they were woken up with police who had broken down their door and were telling them to evacuate the property. And they go outside and the dev said there were abandoned cars everywhere. It was eerily quiet. And he had a genuine worry in his sleep-deprived brain that the zombie apocalypse had actually happened. And they went to the pub, looked up on BBC News, and they found out that they couldn't go back to their house for 3 days. And their laptops with all the work on it was in the house. So unfortunately, I think that initial release was delayed a little bit, as you can imagine.
A little tangent, but it's one of those stories where anyone brings up remotely relevant, it's fun to tell the story. That people from Hartlepool are called monkey hangers.
Yes, I've heard about this.
Because allegedly a monkey was hanged in Hartlepool because they thought he was a French spy.
Yes. So what was it? There was I think a ship was either crashed or was sunk off the coast.
Yeah.
And one of the only survivors that washed up shore was some sort of small monkey.
Yeah.
And
apparently there's no proof this actually happened, but it's almost like an urban myth.
But there are 2 statues in Hartlepool about it, one of which is a chimp, I think, which is not the same animal.
No.
But anyway, the monster finally disappears back into his subconscious.
I'll be back with Gavin and Stacey.
Actually, when was James Gordon born? Can you imagine if it was 19?
It must have been the early 80s.
1983, can you imagine?
Oh my God, please. I know you're looking at it right now, but if it's not, then I refuse.
1978. But he would have been a junior at that point.
Yeah.
He's one of the Montague boys. Montague?
Montague?
What about the Capulet boys?
That's how old he is. He was in a Shakespeare play, and Shakespeare's going, he's a bit much, and
it's time travel. Maybe the conclusion we've come to in this pod is that Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet was based on James Gordon.
Well, everything seems to have been at this point, so.
Yeah, I mean
if you fucking turn the TV on, it's on fucking everything. I don't know. What's he got on people in Hollywood? That just,
he must, yeah.
He must have, I don't know, they're like, I know what you did. And they're like, fine, you can be in Cats, you can be in Rihanna's new video.
He's got pictures of his own dick, and he's like, put me on it, I'll show you the picture.
He's like, do you want me a fucking old... He's like, Interlay Britain, the people that are stopping the motorways.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, I'll do that on every intersection in Los Angeles. I'll dance and hump at people.
It's going to be like a Snorlax.
Dressed as a cat. He was dressed as a mouse for Cinderella,
and
wasn't he?
Like,
he was jumping on people's cars.
I mean, in terms of things, it's like when 2020 happened, everyone, obviously, with COVID, and everyone started going, oh, what crazy things had happened. I thought nothing would top them coming out and going, oh, I think we've caught Madeleine McCann's killer. Because I don't think anyone expected them to say that. But then when they come to it and they go, oh, by the way, in about a year, you're going to see a video of James Corden's penis rubbing up against a onesie as he humps at someone who's clearly in a rush to get somewhere on Twitter. You're going to think, what on earth are they going on about?
No, this is looking at me. I feel like you haven't seen the video where he's
I don't think I have. I mean...
Oh, mate, count your eyes lucky.
Apparently, they didn't give them... they gave them less food as the time went on to try and make them argue with each other more. I don't know if that's true, but that's quite mean.
The ethics are questionable, but I think that's quite.
Yeah,
that's quite
I mean, like in the past, it's been a lot worse. Like, have you heard the stories of like The Shining?
I thought you were going to say, there's another one. Yeah.
Who's the woman who plays?
The
main woman in The Shining.
Yeah, the mum.
Well, like she was like tortured by like Alfred Hitchcock like so much.
What was he doing there?
Like literally
I mean that's terrifying.
Actually. But no, like things like
Alfred Hitchcock.
Things like
Stanley Kubrick.
That's what I meant.
He's just a British man who's been dead for years.
Yeah, Stanley Kubrick's what I meant.
Yeah, apparently he was really.
It's Shelley Duvall.
Shelley Duvall. I knew there was some Devilman stuff on Netflix, so I was like, I'll see what's on there. Because after watching this, I was like, I'd be quite interested in watching a modern adaptation.
Yeah.
I like Crybaby was like one of the highest anticipated animes for years. And I put on the episode and I was like, oh, it's kind of weird animation style. Yeah. I kind of want to see Devilman. So I watched like the last 5 minutes where...
did you just skip ahead?
Yeah, where Rio, his friend, takes him to the club and
I
I have never seen anything like this before in my life. Like
it's insane.
It's really,
like,
really
it's, like there's just people having sex.
Yeah,
like,
there's boobs just like swinging
everywhere.
into the camera.
People like in
there's
like
girls
bondage.
just like fingering each other, and then like
Lewis never seen any of this before. This is a very sheltered.
What's
not on
going on?
Netflix.
This is what I mean. This is what I mean. The anime I watch is on Netflix.
But then also his friend just starts glassing everyone.
Yeah,
he smashes, and then they all turn into really fucking weird monsters. Like one of them was like a woman, and like her ass opened up, and it was a mouth. And one of them, like their boobs turned into like tentacles.
Yeah.
And I was like, "What the fuck
I
is
think
this?"
I walked out before.
I
it just started
was
happening.
thinking like. Once we finish recording, we're gonna sit down and watch the last 5 minutes of the episode.
I think Amy's seen a little bit
Because
of that.
If we could
It's
just not do that.
fucking mad, and he becomes Devilman for the first
he
time.
gets there's some sort of thing.
Jesus, it's very much like how insane this was for the 70s.
Yeah.
Update that 50 years and like, this
I
was
think-
fucking wild.
was the scene. That was one of the scenes that I walked in and you
Yeah,
you were watching. And I was like, what the fuck are you watching?
I'm just like, this one, I'm like, where are the hostages?
Yeah, there's a lot of them running around, and then there's the funny
this
bit with
is
Romulus.
Lots of bit of just Romulus following.
There's a bit from the trailer
all
where
that.
they're in the air vents, and Romulus just smashes his head through the tiles. And what does he say?
Going somewhere?
A little bit more threatening than that, though.
Going somewhere.
Yeah. And then that's the bit where he just cuts to them running around.
That inexplicably, that was really getting to me there. Suddenly, they're away again. Like, he's caught up with them, and then it cuts.
They're just
and
running
they're,
down
like,
the corridor. Yeah,
away.
it's so weird.
And it keeps happening at this point.
But it's
like,
very much like when you see B movies parodied in modern stuff, they'll quite often do like scene missing and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think this is the first time I've ever seen this actually in action. Like, really.
It's weird.
We get the weird repeat thing in this part
What do you mean, the weird repeat thing?
where it cuts back.
What do you mean?
Did you not have that at all? What are you talking about?
No.
Yeah, like weirdly cuts around. Did you not have that at all?
No.
No?
No. Unless, like, I just didn't notice.
No, because it keeps repeating scenes. Was my version just broken the whole time? This is what I was saying.
Yeah. No. It didn't. No. What repeated?
So literally, like, someone will walk out and then it'll like come back and they'll walk out again.
No, that didn't
Are
happen
you serious?
to me. Yeah.
Yeah, but there was bits like where you'd see the first half of a scene and then it would like cut back and you'd show the second part of it. It was like...
Did you watch Memento by mistake?
It was literally like that. It was so annoying. And it would happen like all the time.
That didn't... I don't think that happened to me.
It starts in a small, quiet village with a frog talking at the bay of a park called the Willows. The wind is blowing.
Of all references, you decided to go with Wind in the Willows. Of everything in pop culture history, that's what stood out in your brain. Wind in the Willows.
Well, it's the only place safe from James Corden at the moment.
No, you know what? He's definitely going to be one of those fucking frogs at some point.
He's singing as one of the frogs. He's singing like a classic number from
like
the
an
80s.
like an ABBA song from.
Yeah.
It's gonna ruin ABBA. He's probably gonna turn up on the fucking ABBA's new album, isn't he? Ruin it for all of them.
And here I can't even do a Swedish accent.
And here we go.
And here we have. That's the worst accent I've ever
Here we
done.
have.
I apologise
James.
for everyone.
But this time it's
And then,
scary.
and then Matt/Mike stays in, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And he's like, I just don't want to go out, okay?
Yeah,
And it's like, you're fucking
clearly
scared
scared.
yourself.
It's like, I'm not scared. I just don't want to go outside.
It's like classic, like, I'm not scared.
Yeah, I'm not scared, guys. I'm not scared. I just haven't got my shoes on.
I'm tired and cold.
We've all done it. We've been camping together.
We have, actually.
In the middle of a well-lit field.
Well, we
Well,
did that walk.
there was one person that got very, very scared.
And it was Lewis.
Oh, yeah.
Amy was terrified.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was the walk, actually, that
That was the walk.
we've alluded
It was
to
like
on a
pitch
previous
black.
episode. I think.
Yeah, and it was the bats as well.
We walked back,
Yeah, the
bats. And there was, to
Bats
be
are
fair, there was that bit after we were all pissing, and there was that
What,
noise.
we could hear the noise, yeah.
It was like, ooh!
Oh,
But it wasn't, it was less like an owl. It was more like
What,
a weird...
like, it sounded like a man.
The Blair man.
The Blair man. This is Tony Blair.
The Blair wizard.
Education.
Yeah, the Blair Wizard doesn't
Blair
sound
wizard
quite as
versus
scary.
No,
does it?
the Blair wizard just sounds like a very kind.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like
sort of
wizards,
old-
like historically, are kind of like more like Harry Potter, magical.
Is it
Merlin,
witch?
but witches are
I
like
think it's
evil.
like witches
New
and
England.
warlocks.
Oh yeah,
I don't know what.
Well,
What's the theme?
witches are like inherently
evil.
evil. Like that's because it was a
Yeah.
very
Except
like
in Harry Potter.
justifying witches to like kill women. Back
It's
then.
Yeah,
also
yeah,
partly a
absolutely.
sexist
Centuries
thing.
ago.
Yeah,
exactly,
just
Yeah.
as David says. Yeah.
And then Steve like Willie Ray, and he puts them in his hand, and it's a $20
It's like a
note.
crumbled out $20 bill.
And he's like, Bigfoot told me to give this to you.
It's like, there's something about
Oh god. Oh, it's so funny.
And I think Willie Ray says something like, "See, I told you he'd be good for it."
Yeah. Oh, and then it's like credits.
That's pretty much the end of the film.
Okay, we might as well mention it. I don't think I understand how counterfeit money is sold because, like, they go to these later
What do
on.
they say about the ratio that they buy them later?
Yeah, but I don't understand it because, like, okay, like if you're
saying,
selling
why would the
$100,
person buy?
yeah, if you're selling $100 bill,
Yeah.
how much do you sell that for?
Well, they say later on that it's 1 to 20.
But what way round?
The person buying it pays less.
So
But you're selling paper, so it's fine for you to
but
sell
you're
it for any.
basically selling a perfect $100 bill for $5
Because if you spend it, you're opening yourself up to being caught.
yeah,
It's to avoid. It's the same with like if someone produced drugs, they could sell it directly to people on the street, but then they're putting themselves out.
Right.
If they're good at making it, they're not necessarily good at the next part down. Like these guys,
like
although
Breaking Bad.
although it turns out that they have quite a lot of criminal aspects to them, certain members of the gang, which
Yeah.
aren't necessarily clear.
But
at
yeah, I
first.
just kept. I was like, how do you make
So because
money?
they've got later on, was it 500 tons of paper or 50 tons
Yeah.
of paper or something crazy? The amount that costs is still, even if they sold it for
So
half. the
it's not
cost.
thinking about the money they've made as actual money.
No, it's just selling it
a
as
product. We built this stuff. We made this product, and we're
because
selling it.
It's still not ever going to approach how much it costs for what
Yeah.
they're selling it for.
I was
Do you
just
know what
thinking,
mean?
like, I can't. Maybe it's my innocent, non-criminal mind.
But the other thing as well, like people always talk about inflate. What's it? I can't remember the word now. What's it called when you just flood the overprinting money and stuff
Yeah.
like that? Is inflation? It causes inflation.
Inflation,
Yeah. Second guessing
like
myself as well. But surely
1920s,
Weimar
1930s
Germany, isn't
Germany.
it?
Yeah.
But surely this would really affect inflation without anyone realizing as well, because they're
Yeah.
putting millions of dollars or hundreds
But-
of millions of dollars into the.
I guess a few rich people having a few extra $100 million doesn't make too much difference.
Well, yeah, because they're probably hoarding a lot of it anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Although they would be, if they were smart, they'd be spending the counterfeit money and holding on to the real money.
Yeah,
And that's the other thing, because the reason they want to offload it is because it's technically worthless.
yeah.
It's like, it's not just hot criminal property. Hot criminal property in your area. It's not just like
I haven't had that ad before.
like a hot person with like a burglar's mask on.
Yeah, it'd be like one of those like sexy Halloween burglar costumes.
Ooh. As Jenna and her friends were looking for a place to sit, they noticed people crowded around something laying in the sand. And on this National Geographic video, she's quoted as saying, "What is that thing? Wow."
Great quote.
That's exactly what Hardwick says to me, who is my significant other, when she comes into the room. I'm not naked or anything. She just,
She just sees your face and goes, "What is that?"
I always have really, really interesting artifacts on me at all times. She just goes, "Wow, what is that thing?"
You
I'm
should
like,
wait for the next sentence. The creature was hairless with a rounded body, 4 legs and a tail.
well,
Does that sound familiar?
well, what we get up to in our spare time.
It appeared to have long claws or flippers on its front feet and perhaps short ears. Most disturbing of all, in place of the mouth, the creature seemed to have a short beak.
The face of James Corden.
10 years ago when I was looking into it, I found
Were you
somebody.
looking into it 10 years ago?
Somebody.
It's been a long one coming, guys.
Yeah, I've been planning this. Somebody was also recent, just like a member of the public,
Right,
and they wrote a letter to the Ministry of Defence asking to release any documents they'd had on it because it had been
It's
like 60 years
whatever
now.
the word is for a time has passed and you can release certain things. So.
And I read the letter that, because they then published it, I read the letter that the MOD sent to them, and they're like, "Thank you for your inquiry." And it specifically says the MOD has not and does not conduct any cloud seeding experiments. And it's like, but we know they have.
We know.
there's freely available files to
That's
show
so
that they have
ridiculous.
experimented in it.
So they're just straight
It's
up
like,
lying.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
You weren't supposed to do that. You go back to the hippie compound,
Yeah.
the Spacey's town, Spacey house, Kevin Spacey's house.
Oh no, don't go there.
It's all right. She's a girl. She'll be all right. No, I think he was very particular.
Yeah, but I still don't think she should go
So,
to Kevin Spacey's house.
Ro goes back to Kevin Spacey's house where she'll be safe. And
I think you're being a bit harsh on these hippies, to be honest.
Is this when they do some sort of other activity, right?
Yeah, he invites her over for pizza.
Pizza, the most Christmassy of meals.
That's what I thought.
You know what? I went to Pizza Express on Friday, and they
Yeah.
had Christmas pizzas there.
What's on them?
Mostly normal pizzas with things like cranberry sauce or other stuff.
Right.
But on the menu, they also have the same pizza without the special stuff, and it's cheaper, obviously.
Right.
So I don't know why anyone would order them. Basically,
Yeah.
they sounded pretty
Like,
disgusting.
yeah, I've come
But
to
they had
realize,
20% off Christmas pizzas.
I've come to the realization recently that when you buy like a Pizza Express pizza in like a shop,
yeah,
that's so small and that's so expensive.
they do have bigger ones,
But I think I was in like
if
Sainsbury's
they're not on,
something.
if they're on deals, then they're worth
it had like
but
it had that pizza or like one that was slightly more expensive, and I then looked at the per kilogram,
yeah.
and it was like
It
the
really
Pizza Express one
shows-
was like twice as expensive because it's so
You know what?
small
Do you remember
and expensive.
a couple of weeks ago when you were around to with a friend of ours, and me and Amy
Yeah.
had some pizza, and I think you guys that was like the dead cheapest Tesco's pizza.
It was good,
And that was like one of the nicest pizzas.
Yeah,
I had
some of
for a
them-
while. Like, it was-
the
was
pizza I
just an
went with
oven
instead of the
pizza.
Pizza Express one was a really good, and it was like a stuffed crust one.
stuffed crust is grim though.
Ah, stuffed crust is good. If it's good stuffed crust,
You know what?
have you had the
Let's just talk about pizza.
the
for a minute.
Chicago town one that's got like
I
the
don't like deep dish.
it's got like not the deep dish ones, like the big ones, like thin base, but it's got like sauce stuffed crust.
Oh,
So it's like a
no.
it's like a
You know why I
tomato
did
sauce,
that?
and it's really
I had
nice.
the when they came out when we were at uni. Actually, I had. We've got so much more to say about pizzas.
Just one small bit of the film just sends us off in our way.
We're only on an hour and 4 minutes. We've got to try.
Right.
The hot dog pizza crust at
Oh yeah.
Domino's.
Yeah.
They came out probably 2014, 15. We were at uni anyway. I tried it and it was disgusting.
Yeah.
Because it was, I guess, one big hot dog round the whole thing, which is
Yeah.
just a really funny image.
They also did those cheesy bites crust.
I
stuffed
think they've
crust,
still got them, yeah.
Which instead of having any crust, is just like lots of little.
yeah, I think
cheesy
that's a bit of a
bites.
stupid idea.
Me and Christine just started going like the thin and crispy,
You
no
know-
crust kind
you know
of
what?
things.
The
Not fuck around
one-
the crust,
one of
just
the
have
best
no crust
pizzas-
essentially.
Yeah, one of the best pizza deliveries you can get is value for money anyway, is Pizza Hut.
I thought you were going to say something really like unknown. And
No,
obscure.
Pizza Hut.
Pizza Hut.
Pizza Hut.
may have heard of it.
Do £5 medium pizzas delivery, no delivery fee. So £5 for
Yeah.
from a 10-inch pizza, or £10 for a large one.
Yeah.
Which is like compared to
Good.
Domino's, which without deals, Domino's is like £25 for a
Yeah,
pizza,
you only
which
ever
is
get
just
deals.
literally disgusting. Like the pizza's
What's
nice.
that really
but
nice pizza place along like Western Road?
Piccolos.
Piccolo.
Where we used to always go £5 pick up
Anyone
pizzas.
living in Brighton, go down Western
Oh.
Road, get a Piccolo's pizza.
Because Lewis used to live round
Right
that
near it,
area.
yeah.
We can say it. You don't live there anymore, do you?
Yeah.
You used to live very near there.
Go get a pick of those
And they did
pizza.
£5 pizzas.
And they were like
collection.
huge as
And
well.
you get a large, from any of the main shopping things. And we used to get quite drunk and then pick them up. Didn't we?
Yeah, because they were open quite late, like to
Yeah.
midnight quite often.
You'd just be sitting in there with like a load of weird people waiting
Yeah.
for pizzas.
But anyway, back to the
Do
film.
we have to?
Yeah.
Experts at the time seemed to disagree on exactly what the creature was. Lots of people speculated either a turtle, raccoon, dog, large rodent, or diseased coyote. Lots of these animals shared features with the monster, but didn't necessarily match up.
Does James Corden have an alibi?
I mean, I'll show you a picture.
Of James Corden, no thank you. Thanks for listening, and if you enjoyed, share it with your friends and family.
And if you want to get in contact with us, you can reach us at theprojectprojectpod@gmail.com. On Facebook and Instagram, we're the Project Project Pod. On Twitter, we're at that Project Pod. On Reddit, we're the Project Project. On YouTube, just search for us, and we're now on TikTok as well. See you in the new year.
Bye.
The project.